President William Ruto flew into the country yesterday, and today he has issued a statement because Kenyans are very concerned. While he was away in the United States of America, a lot of strange things were happening. Yesterday, my colleagues and I were able to visit Kamukunji, Gikomba Market, saw the destruction of people's livelihoods. They do not have children suffering from pneumonia because after the flash floods and then the demolitions that have happened, there's a lot of suffering going on. And I want to ask that we pray for the suffering Kenyans who do not know even how to put food, place some chakula on the table for their children. And Kenyans are concerned about, for example, the high cost of travel. I was once vice president under President Kibaki. And in fact, one of the clips that is going around is showing me receiving President Kibaki at Moi International Airport. He had just arrived from New York to attend the United Nations General Assembly. I want to challenge President Ruto because he has just said that in a very democratic manner, because that's what we are, he has just said that the 200 million shillings that the State House Controller or Minister of Foreign Affairs paid to this royal company from Dubai to Washington is actually cheaper than flying Kenya Airways. That has just come through while we are here, really celebrating with you 1 year of this congregation. We have also to now really come out as a nation and pitch for truth, even in terms of top leadership of this country. And the good thing is President Ruto is saying, because he's a people's servant and he wants to express, kind of live transparently, it would be very good if that can be published, how much it costs to fly Kenya Airways, because a regular flight from Nairobi to New York by KQ. And if one was to fly first class, and by the way, they do configuration for heads of state, and you fly directly, first class or configured. It is not like when Francis Atwoli was saying the President of the Republic would be rubbing shoulders with people wanting to use the toilet facilities, for example. When you are flying ahead of state, it is quite different. We've done these things before. It would be very interesting for Kenyans to know how much it would have cost, right, to fly the President by KQ from Jomo Kenyatta to New York, or even indeed to Washington, on a regular flight. Because that's what President Kibaki used to do. I remember also meeting President Mkapa. They'll fly from Tanzania to catch a flight across to Europe, catch either an Emirates flight, regular flight, or catch a BA flight. These are normal ways of travel. And what President Uhuru, for example, will do with the Foka Friendship, which was procured by President Moi when he was there, very effective still, fly from Nairobi to Dubai, and then fly the regular flights, long-haul flights of Emirates or Qatar or whatever from Doha into Washington, Dallas, for example. That's the international airport in Washington, or fly into New York. So these are some of the things that we expect leaders to speak openly and be truthful about these things. And then let Kenyans then judge which is cheaper. But it is good that President Ruto has responded to that concern by Kenyans. And because he has, let all the facts be laid bare so that the truth will be known to Kenyans. We misinterpret the Bible sometimes and leaders say, "Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." You know, it was Jesus Christ himself who said that. He is the truth. So not his other truth by Kina Kalonzo and Eugene and Kioni. Okay? But truth is also important. It finds universal expression. The other thing is that we want to thank the church for standing again at this time. And if we are in a country that is democratic, a country that regards and respects every other citizen as equality before the law, it is important that we also recognize the church in Kenya. The church in Kenya. We're beginning to hear the church again speaking. We had Archbishop Olesapit when he was in North Baringo, for example, challenging the president to say, before you send our young men, I don't know how many women will be going there, young men to Haiti, and then be seen like an occupation force by that Caribbean country, why don't you deal with insecurity in North Baringo first? That was a way, as a church, that's a way Olesapit looked at it, Archbishop Olesapit. We need to tell Kenyans the truth. Even when I was here, I tried to check again with the president of the Law Society of Kenya. And the fact of this thing is, again, a country under the rule of law would not want to do things unconstitutional. Justice Chacha made a ruling in May to say that the matter of taking Kenyan young soldiers, police officers, to Haiti would be unconstitutional. And there were things that were supposed to have happened. But this matter was taken to court by what they call themselves the Third Way Alliance, another political democratic formation. And the matter is actually alive in court. The ruling by Justice Chacha is alive. In fact, Okuro, I think, of court and his team have now wanted to have President Ruto cited for contempt of court, and C.S. Kindiki cited for contempt of court, because they insist on sending these young men to Haiti when there's a court ruling saying, first of all, there must be a bilateral arrangement with an authority in Haiti able to sign, because there's a prime minister who flew in here, but he never flew back. And that's when some documents were signed. There must be an authority able to sign bilateral agreements. That was a ruling of a court. So mambo haya ni magumu, but thank you for inviting us so we can share, because these are things, when we walk out of here, we cannot pretend we do not have these things affecting us, Bishop. So that's why we are sharing them with you, because we are the other side of government in this country. The opposition under Constitution 2010 is the other side of government. It's actually the government in waiting. So if we don't tell Kenyans this truth, we'll be failing in our duty. Man of God, we thank you that you invited us to come. And we want, therefore, to take the opportunity of this opportunity to say that leaders must be truthful, and leaders must not take things for granted. There are other deeper issues that have come out of this visit by President Ruto to the United States, which you need a serious conversation. For example, our foreign policy orientation. Madam, the secretary of this church, I don't know whether she's still in the house, she said that she only used to hear of the Minister for Foreign Affairs. He's now right in front of you. Former Vice President, former Minister for Foreign Affairs. In fact, had the BBI gone through, because this is the other issue, which is also coming out, Kenyans were pushed to throw out a very important reform program, the Building Bridges Initiative. Under its terms, we are not going to be talking about Secretary secretaries when we mean ministers. It was proposed that we go back to ministers, like Mheshimiwa Eugene was Minister for Defense. I was Minister for Foreign Affairs. We cannot really take everything from America and then pretend we are a colony of America. We are not. We are not one of the 52 states of the United States of America. A great people live out there. And we would want, and of course, want to cooperate and work with them. But Kenyans would want to know the security implications of being designated as a non-NATO ally. What does that mean, the security implications? Because we're in a very volatile region, populated by Al-Shabaab and other places. We took the bullet in 1998 as a country. We took a bullet. Remember when the United States Embassy was bombed here in Nairobi, and simultaneously in Dar es Salaam, the biggest damage was here. I think, in fact, if President William Ruto had taken Senator Agnes Kavindu, Senator for Machakos, because she had brought a very important matter of Kenyans who lost their lives. There are a lot of them still who cannot see properly because of that bomb blast, and they would have expected some measure of compensation. They still are there talking about it. This matter, in fact, would have been very well handled if it was brought before President Joe Biden, who was playing host to President Ruto. So we want to invite our scholars and foreign policy practitioners to debunk this matter. President William Ruto made me laugh when he was asked by Richard Quest of the CNN whether Kenya is looking east or looking west. He said, we are not looking either way, we are looking forward. That was very interesting coming from, so he himself needs a bit of orientation on some of these things. This is an independent republic. And because of our geographical location, where we are, at the Horn of Africa, with all these challenges, we need to be absolutely careful about what we do so that the Kenyan people will remain safe under foreign policy that is reliably tested over time, because we are friends. We are friends with the United States of America, for sure. The first airlift of Kenyans, the late Tom Joseph Mboya and Robert Kennedy, those were the people who, because we were just become a newly independent state, and we didn't have even the knowledge to run a whole nation. That's why the Robert Kennedys and Tom Mboya organized the first famous airlift of Kenyans in order to capacity build for a new Kenya that time. But time has brought about a situation where this is a very solid country. We pray for Ethiopia, we pray for Uganda, we pray for Somalia in particular, South Sudan. We continue to help our people, our friends in South Sudan. Pray for South Sudan. Pray for Somalia. Ethiopia is in some kind of a turmoil. Therefore, you can understand when the Americans have looked at Kenya and said, let us elevate this country's status to be able to work for regional peace and security. But it cannot happen at the expense of who we are, an independent republic. So hayo nimeongea kwa urefu kidogo because that lady reminded me I was Minister for Foreign Affairs when she was in primary school. And those are some of the things we used to do. Kwa hivyo, we came with my colleagues today. If you want us, I think we'll come back again. We like the infrastructure here, and we'll keep on coming to pray and worship with you. And maybe you may have to go up in the years ahead, because this, as I said, I'm not a prophet, but as I said, I'm just a follower of Jesus Christ, saved by His grace. And thank you for the opportunity to partake in the Lord's table. That was very, very unique, and we really appreciate it. That's why we have to say it, so that we all walk out of here feeling renewed spiritually. So on that note, maybe I can ask my friends to say something, and then I will say the final prayer. We say the words of the grace together.